morning, Corey.
Morning, Farah.
Thank you for joining me for this meeting. Today, our discussion will focus on the compliance project, which is covering two main aspects. Firstly, we'll delve into my qualification and currency as a trainer. Secondly, we'll explore the principles of assessment and rules of evidence. And I'll be sharing a presentation that aligns with legislative and regulatory requirements regarding my job as a trainer and assessor. First one, I will be talking about to stay ahead of future changes in the compliance requirement for my projects. Here are some steps that I would like to take. First, stay informed, subscribing to newsletter, join professional association and follow relevant industry blogs and news outlet, which will keep me updated of any changes in compliance requirements related to my qualification and currency as a trainer, as well as principle of assessment and rules of evidence. Second, networking, which I think is very important, and in this time where we got so many young generation just focus on networking, engaging with my peers in my field, both online and offline, participating in forums, attending conferences, and joining professional networking groups. This can provide valuable insights into any upcoming changes or trends in my compliance requirements. Continuous education. I will always invest in my own education and professional development. I will take opportunities such as attending workshops, seminars, and training sessions that focus on compliance requirements in my area of expertise, which is not only help me to stay up to date, but also deepen my understanding of the subject matter. Engaging with regulatory bodies, which is if applicable, such as maintaining regular communication with relevant authority or organization that oversee compliance in my field, which is including participating in consultations, providing feedback on the proposed changes, and staying informed about any upcoming regulatory updates. Also, I think I have to improve in this one, which is utilizing technology. Leverage technology tools such as compliance management software, regulatory monitoring services, and online databases to track changes in my compliance requirements. These tools can help streamline the process of staying informed and ensure that I don't miss any important updates. Risk assessment, which is I have to do in every compliance project that I'm doing, such as conducting a risk assessment to identify any potential compliance gaps or areas of concern within my projects. This proactive approach, I think, will allow me to address any issues before they become significant problems. And lastly, document and review, which will keep me thorough the records of compliance requirements, changes, and any action taken to address them. And I will review these regularly to ensure that my projects remain in compliance and to identify any areas for improvement. I believe by following these steps, I can effectively access and analyze future changes in compliance requirements for my project related to qualification and currency as a trainer, as well as principle of assessment and rules of evidence. And now I've shown you some slides, which is about my presentation. So we'll be talking about that from now on. So on the first slide, you can see the title is Compliance Project 1. The topic is about qualification and currency as my trainer, and this based on resources from the standards for RTO 2015. Also based on our policy and procedure in our organization, plenty of training. I've done some mapping here, which is the requirement based on the section and the clause from the standards, detailing what's the rules and what the practices I've done. Does it comply with my practice or not? And if not, what can I do to improve it? The first one is based on 113 clause, The RTO's training and assessment is delivered only by the person who have vocational competency at least to the level being delivered and assessed, current industry skills directly relevant to the training and assessment being provided, current knowledge and skills in vocational training and learning that informs their training and assessment. What is my practices? I'm a qualified trainer and assessor with TAE 40116 on Certificate 4 of Training and Assessment Qualification. Does it compliant? Yes, I think so. Industry experts may also assist in training delivery or assessment judgment, working alongside the trainer in order the assessor to conduct the training and assessment. What is my practices? As you know, Plenty of Training will always have their qualified trainer and assessor to help me since the beginning of the induction process. Ongoing observation and validation will be conducted to ensure quality of training and assessment that I deliver, and I think it is compliant with my practice. Also, quality training and assessment depends on the skills and knowledge of trainer and assessor. The standards specify that trainer and assessor are skilled, vet practitioners with currency, industry skills and knowledge. This ensures the students receive the training they need and the graduates are properly assessed before being issued with a qualification or statement or attainment. And my practices as a trainer and assessor, I must be able to demonstrate my current competencies for all the units they will train and assess, which is typically this will be demonstrated by holding the unit being covered. This is kept in a register and updated at least annually. Does it comply? Yes, I think so. So do you have any question for me?
Yeah, I have questions pertaining to the materials you explained earlier. Can you please elaborate as to how to engage with regulatory bodies? How is it feasible to be done?
Yeah, so as I explained to you before, there are a few things that I always have to do to stay informed, which is such as subscribing to their newsletter and always update to any future changes. Also, networking, working with people that is related to the industry will keep me updated. Also, I will continuously maintain regular communication with the relevant people from the regulatory bodies or organization, such as ASIQA, which is if there's any changes regarding EYLF, which is we know the framework of education for early childhood in Australia. So we will be always notified for the future changes.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, Farah.
So I will continue my presentation. So based on the rules, ASQA strategic industry reviews have consistently found high levels of non-compliance with these clauses. This non-compliance undermines the quality of student experience and directly affects the quality and credibility of their qualification, which is very sad. That students have told ASQA that it is important to them that their teachers are professional and knowledgeable of their subjects. What have I done regarding this to my practices? As a trainer and assessor, I undergo an induction process which is including 2 days of initial system training, an induction to organization policies and procedures of Plenty Training as a trainer and assessor, observe the class including assessment activities as a student, assess under supervision, 100% validation initially, co-deliver with supervising trainer, deliver under the observation of supervising trainer. Ongoing observation and validation will be conducted to ensure the quality of training and my assessment. Next, to provide training that reflects current industry practice and valid assessment, your RTO's trainer and assessor must maintain the currency of their skills and knowledge in both their industry area and vocational education and training. My practice is when I apply, I should hold a minimum of 2 years of experience delivering and assessing nationally recognized training. Additionally, experiences in compliance roles such as validating assessment tools and conducting quality checks, formal supervision of trainers and assessors, and experience in instructional design will be highly regarded. So I think these rules from my organization, plenty of training already aligned with what is the rules from the standard RTO. 113 clause, training and assessment should only be provided by those who have current industry skills and knowledge. Training and assessment is best provided by those who can undertake to an industry standard level all of the tasks defined in the elements of units of competency and modules. As a trainer and assessor, I must be able to demonstrate current competency for all units that I will train and assess, which is typically this would be demonstrated by holding the unit being covered. This is kept in a register and updated at least annually. Next one, clause 130. It is the responsibility of the RTO to retain evidence that shows that your trainers and assessor current industry skills and knowledge directly relate to the training and assessment they are providing. It is my key duty list to report to my senior trainer and assessor or my academic manager to prepare for training and assessment, including reviewing the training and assessment strategies, session plans, assessment tools, markers guidance, and other relevant resources. Also conducting high training for my learners and assessment for the candidates. Providing academic support to the enrolled learners and assist with their academic questions from prospective students. Maintaining a record of all their training and assessment within the learner management system, and where required, additional records in a complete, clear, organized, and version control format. Next one is the industry skills and knowledge held by trainer and assessor must be consistent with information gathered through my industry engagement activities, any specific requirements expressed in relevant training package and accredited courses. My practices is as a trainer and assessor, I have to undergo an induction process that includes Alright, so that was my compliance project 1. If you have any feedback, you can give it to me later. But if you have any question, please feel free to give me.
No, so far I have no questions. You can continue.
No worries, thank you. And do you have any question? No problem.
No, I'm good. I don't have any questions.
So this is my last compliance project, number 2, which is the topic is principles of assessments and rules of evidence, based on the standards for RTO 2015. Section 1.8. Based on the rules, the individual's learner's needs are considered in the assessment process, where appropriate reasonable adjustments are applied by the RTO to take into account the individual learner's needs. My position description and my personal work practices which relevant to this requirement as a trainer, it is imperative to adhere to the principles of inclusivity and accessibility in the assessment process, that I ensure that the individual learner's needs are thoroughly considered and accommodated to foster an equitable learning environment, where necessary reasonable adjustments are implemented by the RTO, plenty of training to accommodate diverse learner requirements effectively. And our commitment to personalized support and flexibility underscores our dedication to promote learner success and fostering an inclusive learning culture, which are team compliant with my practice. Next, assessment is flexible to the individual learner by reflecting the learner's needs, assessing competencies held by the learner no matter how or where they have been acquired, drawing from a range of assessment methods and using those that are appropriate to the context, the unit of competency, and associated assessment requirements and the individual. As a trainer, I will ensure that the assessment process is fully aligned with regulatory standards and educational best practices. This commitment to compliance is reflected in my approach of assessment, which prioritize flexibility and individualization to meet the diverse needs of my learners. And also our assessment strategies are designed to reflect the learner's needs, assess competencies regardless of acquisition source, which is recognizing that competencies can be acquired through various means and contexts. Last, utilize a range of assessment methods. We employ a diverse array of assessment techniques to effectively measure learners' performance. Next, 1.8. Close. Any assessment decision of RTO is justified based on the evidence of performance of the individual learner. Validity requires assessment against the unit of competency and associated assessment requirements cover a broad range of skills and knowledge that are essential to competent performance. Assessment of knowledge and skills is integrated with their practical application. Assessment to be based on evidence that demonstrates that a learner could demonstrate these skills and knowledge in other similar situations. Judgment of competence is based on evidence of learner's performance that is aligned to the unit of competency and associated assessment requirements. As a trainer, I will ensure that all assessment decisions made by our RTO, plenty of training, are thoroughly justified, grounded in the evidence of each individual learner's performance. Our commitment to compliance hinges on upholding the principles of validity, ensuring that assessment cover a broad spectrum of skills and knowledge essentials for competent performance within the unit. Second, knowledge and skills assessment are seamlessly integrated with practical application. Third, the evidence used for assessment demonstrate that learners can apply their skills and knowledge effectively in various similar situations. And last, competence judgments are rooted in evidence of learner performance that aligns with the unit. Next one is the RTO implements a plan for ongoing systematic validation of assessment practices and judgments, which including for each training products on the RTO scope of registration. My practices is as a trainer at our RTO Plenty of Training, I uphold a commitment to the ongoing validation of assessment practices and judgment, which ensure the compliance with regulatory requirements. I have established a systematic validation plan tailored to each training product within our scope of registration. A. Timing of assessment validation. B. Focus validation. C. Leadership and participation. And documentation and action. Validation involves checking that the assessment tools, procedure, valid, reliable, sufficient, current, and authentic evidence to enable reasonable judgment to be made as to whether the requirements of the training package accredited courses are met. Do you have any questions so far, Corey?
No. You can continue, Farah.
So validation is a review of assessment judgment made by your RTO. This is based on the clause of 1.8. Validation is generally conducted after assessment is complete. The process must be undertaken in a systematic way. Validation may include engagement with industry, which is aiming to confirm that your RTO assessment system produce valid assessment judgments, ensure graduates have the skills and knowledge required by the industry, and expressing in the training package or accredited course. As a trainer, I commit to conducting validation in a thorough and systematic manner, which including engaging with the industry stakeholders to validate that my assessment system is produce valid assessment judgment, ensuring fairness and reliability in my assessment processes, ensure that my graduates possess the skills and knowledge demanded by the industry as outlined in the relevant training package or accredited courses. I understand that validation is not only a compliance obligation but also a means to continuously improve the quality of my training and assessment practices. Therefore, I pledge to actively participate in and contribute to the validation process, fostering a culture of ongoing improvement within our Faculty of Training organization. Based on clause 110, each training product is validated at least once every 5 years, with at least 50% of products validated within the first 3 years of each 5-year cycle, taking into account the relative risks of all the training products on the RTO scope of registration, including those risks identified by the VAD regulator. My practices is, as a trainer, I will ensure that each training product within our organization is validated at least once every 5 years, with a minimum of 50% of products undergoing validation within the initial 3 years of each 5-year cycle. This commitment aligns with regulatory requirements and acknowledge the importance of maintaining the quality and relevance of our training. Our validation process takes into careful consideration the relative risks associated with each training product on our registered training organization. And also, I will try to prioritize validation activities based on these risks, including those identified by the regulator, to effectively manage and mitigate potential concerns. By adhering to this compliance standard, I will demonstrate our dedication to deliver high quality training. Clause 19. Systematic validation of an RTO assessment practice and judgment must be undertaken by one or more persons who collectively have vocational competency and current industry skills, and current knowledge and skills in vocational teaching and learning. As a trainer, I affirm that any validation endeavor undertaken will adhere strictly to these criteria. It is my commitment to ensure that those involved in the validation process possess the necessary expertise and insight to effectively evaluate assessment practices and judgment. By holding these standards, we aim to maintain the integrity and quality of assessment, which is possessed within our RTO, plenty of training. So far, that's all from my slide. Thank you for listening to my presentation. Do you have any additional question?
I have questions from my end. What measures did you take to ensure that your assessment were fair, reliable, and valid?
Okay. So I guess first is to align with the clear assessment policies and procedures. My RTO, which is plenty of training, will develop clear policies and procedures outlining the assessment process. And as a trainer and assessor, I will follow these policy and procedures, which is specify the roles and my responsibility as a trainer and assessor to ensure that everyone understands the assessment expectations. Also, second, validation of assessment tools. RTO normally regularly review and validate assessment tools to ensure that they accurately measure the required skills and knowledge outlined in the training package or accredited course. This process will involve checking the alignment assessment tasks with learning outcomes and industry standards. Third is assessor training and calibration, which is my RTO will provide training for assessors such as me to ensure they have necessary skills and knowledge to conduct assessment effectively. For using multiple assessment methods, also feedbacks and appeals mechanism, which is normally RTO will provide feedback to the learners on their assessment. They also normally have a formal procedures in place for learners to appeal assessment if they believe it is unfair and inaccurate. Regular quality assurance review, which plenty of training always do this to comply with RTO 2015. Also, lastly, industry engagement. Plenty of training collaborate with industry stakeholders to ensure assessment reflect current industry practice and standards. So that's all so far from me. Thank you.
Okay.
Any question other than that?
I'm interested in the assessment approach that you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Can you please provide examples as to how you tailored your training and assessment approaches to meet the diverse of the needs of your learners?
Okay. Let me just roughly write a draft. So the registered training organization standards in Australia emphasize the importance of tailoring training and assessment approaches to meet the diverse needs of learners. How I could do this? First, I will have my individual learning plans for my learners. Second is I will be flexible in delivering mode depends on my learners, which is using variety of delivery such as face-to-face, online, workshops, workplace-based, which is allowing my learners to choose the mode that best suits them. Also, accessible learning materials, reasonable adjustment if they do need that, cultural sensitivity, to be mindful, as Australia is a very diverse nation, language and literacy support, feedback and support, which often regular feedback and support learners throughout their training journey, and RPL, recognition of prior learning. I guess this should be aligned with this.
Okay.
Anything else?
I think, as to my understanding, that during the your training and also these assessments will be pertaining to a lot of data security. So can you please elaborate what steps did you take to maintain confidentiality and data security throughout the compliance project?
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your question. I think the first step is risk assessment. That is very important to any activity that we do. Also access control. Who can access the data? As you were saying that it pulls of security data. Of course, we can always have authentication, role-based access control, and encryption of data in transit and at rest. Encrypting the sensitive data, secure communication between me and everyone that involved during the assessment and the process, regular audits to know if we need any improvement, employee training to make sure that everyone have the same expectation and strategies and know what we aiming for. Incident response plan just in case if something goes wrong. Vendor security, we can always use third-party vendors to make everything just more secure. And also legal and regulatory compliance. I think it's always good to comply with relevant laws because maybe some of the part that we don't really understand. Yeah, that's all from me. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Farah.
Do you have any other question?
No, for me it's clear.
If you have any feedback or question, please discuss with me.
Okay. Thank you so much for your presentations, Farah. I think I would like to share my feedback from your sessions. The first one is regarding your I think it's more on the positive sides of your presentations. There are some aspects from my end. The first one is regarding your qualifications alignment. I think your presentation demonstrated a clear alignment with your qualifications, and this is shown by your in-depth and also the breadth of your analysis, and also your accuracy of the information that you have presented. And the second one is regarding the currency of the knowledge. I think you grasp of the current compliance trends and also the regulations that was impressive for me. And the next one regarding the principles of assessment. I think your approach to the assessment principles was thorough and well structured and also well articulated, and that's very good. The last one is regarding the clarity and organizations. For me, your presentations was well structured and easy to follow. And lastly, I think for the room for your improvement is for you to more engage with your audience, and also you can add like the visual aids utilization on your presentations. Um, um, and also I think you also need to like addressing the counter arguments in your compliance project. Although it was really good, I think it's better to add some on it. And the last one in the conclusion and actionable insights, I think your presentation could have been strengthened by providing key insights and also the actionable recommendations for the next steps. Yeah. Overall, your compliance project presentations was really good and already incorporating feedback to enhance audience engagement. And I think you can keep up when you address the room for improvement for the next
Thank you
presentation.
so much for your feedback.
You're
And
welcome.
thank you for giving me your time to discuss this compliance project. Feel free to send me any email regarding your additional feedback or question.
Yeah, sure.
Thank
Farah.
you.